Good evening. First Alert meteorologist Evan Hatter here on our First Alert weather day. And, well, the word is so far so good. There is still a tornado watch out in central Kentucky until 11 o'clock, but no watches, no warnings in effect in the mountains right now. In fact, the one storm we've been watching that was headed toward the mountains absolutely fell apart over the last hour or so. This is a storm. We'll back it up and we'll show you what's going on. This was at one time a powerful supercell that produced large hail and high winds in the Louisville area, even tornadoes in parts of southern Indiana. It's gone. And that's a function of the capping that we have in place, a layer of warm air above the surface that keeps storms from firing or sustaining themselves. And that continues to be present here in the mountains tonight. So that is good news. Still storms, though, well back out to the west. For reference, there's the state capital. There's the largest city in the state, Louisville. We've got a while to go before these storms head in our direction, but we're not done until this frontal boundary crosses the region. You see more storms firing along the Ohio River, but so far so good. Just a few showers entering parts of the region right now within a county or two boundary of the Mountain Parkway, but we still have the level 3 enhanced risk for severe weather throughout the night. You can stay updated by downloading the WYMT First Alert weather app. Scan that code with your phone. You'll get the latest on the potential for high winds, large hail, and even the potential, especially in our western counties, for isolated tornadoes as we head through the night. We'll get you back to the equalizer in just a second. And of course, we'll be here all night keeping you safe here in the WYMT First Alert Weather Center. First Alert meteorologist Evan Hatter with a check of your conditions here on our First Alert weather day. Tornado watch still in effect out west until 11 o'clock. Doesn't include any of our counties, but I don't think we're that far away from seeing a watch issued for our region, especially further south and west you go. Storm Prediction Center has said likely to see a severe thunderstorm watch issued before 11, at least for part of this area. So it is something we'll continue to watch as we head through the next little bit. Still nothing going on in the mountains other than maybe a few showers as you head up a little bit closer to the Big Sandy, but the main action continues to be up towards the bluegrass region of Kentucky. There's Interstate 64 west of Lexington, a hefty rotating cell pushing out of Woodford County and into Jessamine County. So if you know anybody over there toward Nicholasville, give them a heads up. From the state capitol back south and west toward Taylorsville Lake there, if you know anybody who maybe goes up that way, that's Spencer and Nelson County over toward Bardstown. So some very heavy rain and still those storms pushing on through, and more as you head back to the west. Meade, Breckenridge County back toward Owensboro getting hit with some pretty hefty rain and storms right now. Everything here is sinking to the south, so we're not completely done until this moves through. And the greatest threat for that severe weather is going to be further into our south and west. That's where the greatest threat will be. Areas in the orange, the level 3 enhanced risk for severe weather. Join you as needed, but now let's get you back to programming. First Alert Weather Day continues. I'm First Alert meteorologist Evan Hatter, and a new feature to the map. We now have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for much of the region, excluding the Big Sandy, until 4 o'clock. So this includes places like Jackson, Hazard, Harlan, Middlesboro, London, Corbin, Manchester, Monticello, and back to Somerset until 4 o'clock. Still no severe weather in the mountains yet, but it's not far away. We're watching this particularly heavy thunderstorm now in the very far northern portions of Madison County, north of the city of Richmond, but it's crossing Interstate 75. This has the potential to produce hail between the size of hen eggs and the size of baseballs. It was warned for baseball-sized hail earlier. That warning takes in all of Madison County, and that, should it hold together, will push very soon into Estill County and perhaps even parts of Jackson County. So we continue to watch very strong thunderstorms. Another very strong thunderstorm likely with some hail north and east of Danville right now. So it is something we'll continue to watch. More severe thunderstorms back to the west. Flash flood warning for the Owensboro area as you head towards Elizabethtown and further back. More severe weather. We're not through with this until this whole line works through the region and finally pushes out as we head through the overnight. Again, the greatest threat for severe weather is going to be in our western counties. That is where the level 3 enhanced risk remains. But everybody's got a shot at least at some damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour, some large hail, quarter size or better, and even the small chance for an isolated tornado. We'll have a full wrap-up coming up on Mountain News Weekend Edition at 11. But for now, let's get you back to CBS.
All right, good evening to you. Brandon Robinson here, Chief Forecaster, WYMT, getting you on the air, talking about some storms we've been tracking coming out of central Kentucky, now into parts of our region there. A severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Jackson, Lee, Owsley, and Powell counties, along with Wolfe County until 11:30. We've got the track on for you here. The reason we're coming on the air with this, and we're going to stay with it to about 11 o'clock tonight, is because of the simple fact we're going to continue to see some pretty good size hail possible with this storm. Very electrical, moving pretty fast there. So you see communities that will be in the path of this storm in the next few minutes there. Irvin by 11:18, Yellow Rock over at 11:41, Beattyville by 11:50. So this storm is not moving very fast, but it's tracking in that general direction to the south-southeast. This storm has had a tendency of producing hen egg and tennis ball size hail in parts of central Kentucky coming out of Madison County. So we're going to continue to monitor that for you and keep you posted on it. But again, if you're in these communities, you need to be in a shelter. You need to be in a safe spot. You need to be inside the house. I know it's almost 11 o'clock at night, but you need to be taking your precautions. This is not a situation where we're looking at the possibility for any kind of tornadic activity, but we are looking at the possibility for some 60-mile-an-hour plus winds, and then the possibility for some pretty large hail. Again, those areas highlighted there in the path of this in the next hour or so. This is going to continue for a while into the overnight hours. 11 o'clock news will start on time if we don't have any other additional warnings there, and Evan can track them for you as we go through. But we got a severe thunderstorm watch out. If we can back out to that graphic, Evan back in here with me now, and we'll show you that. That goes from most of the region until about 4 o'clock in the morning. That's basically from south of the Mountain Parkway down, Big Sandy's not included, goes into Southwest Virginia all the way back. Now, the tornado watch is expected to expire around 11 o'clock unless they decide to extend it. I don't think they will. I think things are starting to calm down just a little bit. We still have that severe threat that continues into the overnight hours for us here across parts of the mountains. So again, the reason we're on, because this storm that we've been tracking, it's been coming through central Kentucky. I know our sister station's been on the air with some coverage, but we're entering the fray here right now because of the fact that there is possibly some decent-sized hail, and it's moving toward Irvin right now. Go ahead, Evan.
We've actually seen a report.
Turn Evan's mic on, Josh, please.
Muted.
He's got it muted. There you go.
Sorry about that. We did get a report of we had hail report about 2 to 4 minutes ago. Ping pong ball size hail a mile northwest of Richmond, and another report 1 mile north of Valley View. This was 5 minutes ago, of hail to the size of baseballs. Okay. That's 2.75 inches. Okay. So again, very important to note, if you are parked outside tonight, okay, and if you have a garage, put the car in the garage, especially if you're in eastern Kentucky, if you're not in there. He's circling the hail core over there we're kind of looking at, coming just east of Richmond. That's moving toward Irvin, moving towards Stanton. Both those, Stanton is not in the severe thunderstorm watch box, but again, this cell is moving in that general direction. It's tracking this way at about 30 miles per hour, Evan? 40 miles per hour. So again, Panola right there around 11:11, Witt at 11:17, Irvin, you got about 30 minutes, a little give or take there, 11:21 for you guys. We're going to continue to kind of keep an eye on that. Heidelberg, that's over in Lee County there at 11:49. So again, this is going to go right along that path. Hail, decent-sized hail, winds that could be up to 60 miles per hour or greater. So even though, and there's actually a considerable threat tag on this system because of the fact of that hail being so large. So just kind of keep an eye on that. Be inside for sure. This is not a situation that we're going to see not as much possibility for a tornado, okay? We're focusing more on the things we've been focusing on for 2 days, the damaging wind aspect and the hail aspect, which we've been preaching since we started our first alert weather day, that this was going to be the 2 big factors that we would continue to track as we head through this. Evan, any additional updates from the Weather Service? Several from one of the ham radio operators there in Madison County. They're reporting many power outages there in Richmond, on the Robert E. Martin bypass, Secretariat Drive there in Richmond. That hail core just crossed the interstate. So if you know anybody maybe traveling maybe back to the mountains, that's the hail core. That's the area where we see the potential for the largest hail. And I'm going to throw on one of our products here. This is the vertically integrated liquid, which tells us that we likely have quite a bit of hail there right along Highway 52, and that's going to push into Estill County here within the next little bit.
Exactly. So that's the Madison-Estill County line. There is a severe thunderstorm warning on this for several counties until 11:30. Estill, Powell, Wolf, Lee, and potentially Jackson and Owsley counties as well. So we're going to continue to watch that for a little while longer. But hail is the big threat with this. We have not had any wind reports so far. There's not a whole lot of sensors in this area, airport sensors where we can, or even mesonet sensors where we can get a lot of those wind gusts. But again, it's just we've been tracking this complex of storms, very electrical coming out of central Kentucky. Lots of lightning. Evan and I were looking at the amount of lightning strikes near Lexington a little while ago, about 675, probably increased more.
See where they are now.
Yeah, because that's a very electrical system right there.
Okay, that's not, hang on.
Yeah.
Let me stop the loop and then try.
Stop the loop and then try. Yeah, but I mean, this whole complex is very electrical. So yeah, 406 strikes. It was showing 600, almost 700 a little bit earlier. So power outages definitely a possibility. Winds could still be a possibility as we go into the overnight hours, even though we just have that one warning there for those counties to our north and east, or north and west there, coming to the south and east. Again, areas like 421, if you're going from McKee back up toward Irvin, if you're going over into parts of Lee County, if you're going over into parts of Owsley County, if you're south of the Mountain Parkway there at Campton, you all need to be in your safe spot because dangerous situation. And here's the thing, this is just going to continue to roll off to the east and south. So if you have a garage, if you can put your car under a carport or something, recommend you do that before it gets too late in the night because these storms are going to continue. They're slow moving. We've got that severe thunderstorm watch until 4 o'clock in the morning. So this is going to be an all-night event. Thankfully, it looks like the dry air, the cap, as Evan was talking about a little bit earlier, has diminished somewhat our tornado threat, especially as we get deeper in the night. You cool the atmosphere off a little bit, you kind of stabilize things. But we're still not out of the woods with the severe threat because we could still see damaging winds, which could be just as bad as a tornado in some situations. And we could also see the possibility for that large hail as well. Evan?
That's right, Brandon. We continue to see that pushing on through portions of Madison County. This has not quite entered the viewing area yet, but that's why we're on. We want to give you the first alert because this is headed right for Irvin. It's headed for Ravenna over the next little bit. In fact, this warning mainly for Estill County into Lee County, northern parts of Jackson County, also takes in parts of Owsley County into Powell County and even Wolf County at this point. Doesn't include Campton, does not include Boonville, but it does include McKee, Irvin, Ravenna, and Beattyville, or it doesn't include Stanton either, but we are continuing to watch the potential for hail up to the size. It was warned for hail to the size of tennis balls, but we've gotten a report from a spotter. Got actually a couple reports now. We had a report from a spotter on the amateur radio network there in Madison County of hail to the size of baseballs. And we just got a report in just 1 mile north-northwest of Richmond of a gust to 70 miles per hour. Okay. So that is considerable out there as this warning continues to, or as this storm continues to push into Estill County.
So again, kind of areas to highlight here. You've got Highway 52. Got some rain and some storms coming up on that. That's basically right there along the Madison-Estill County line, maybe going over into Pound County a little bit. Coming off of 374 there out of part of Madison County. This is to the east of Richmond. Right here is the area of concern at the moment for at least the hail core, kind of keeping an eye on that. But there's strong winds, as Evan just said, at 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts there in Madison County. Again, heavy populated areas. If you know somebody that's going to school at Eastern Kentucky University there in Richmond, maybe get word to them like, hey, maybe the worst of this is past you, but hunker down regardless. They're still in that warning as well. And we still have several counties, even though the storm has really not crossed into our region just yet, under that severe thunderstorm warning until 11:30. We're going to try to get you back on to news here at 11 if we don't have any more reports of any damage, but we'll come back on immediately if we have to. And of course, we're going to lead the 11 with severe weather alert coverage. So we're going to continue to track this one for a few more minutes here, almost 10:57. So we'll, or 10:56 rather. We'll take up just a little bit more time for you, but this is headed right toward Irvin. If you want to put one more track on that for me, Evan, we'll give you another hit time there of when these could be into the area there, especially this storm moving about 40 miles per hour to the south and east, correct?
Yes, let's give it about an hour. I'm trying to match it up with the polygons there. Okay. But, yeah, for some reason it's only popping up Irvin and Beattyville on the actual map, but there you can see.
But the good news is if there is any good news with this situation, it's kind of moving into a more sparsely populated area. Not saying that there's not people that live in Estill and Pala and Beattyville or Lee counties and all those areas, but again, it's more sparsely populated in some spots out there. So Irvin, we're going to hit the big cities real fast. Irvin at 1122, Ravenna at 1124. Those are both in Estill County. You've got Yellow Rock at 1145, Heidelberg at 1149, and Beattyville at 1154. I do believe at least two of those, the last two, are in Lee County. So that tracks it over, again, all the way to Beattyville. So we're going to continue to watch out for the main threats to be possibility for damaging winds. We had that 70-mile-an-hour report already back over in Madison County near Richmond. We've also had the possibility for it was warned for one, but we got the observation of another.
It was warned for tennis ball size hail, but we got a report of baseballs.
Okay.
And this is not in our area yet, but it is just to the west. It's this storm. I believe this is the warning, and let me check. This is Clark, Garrett, and Madison. So it's actually this would be this warning. Yes,
yeah,
they have The Weather Service in Louisville has updated this to destructive, with the potential for winds to 80 miles per hour and hail to the size of teacups.
So I'm going to point something out, and you walk with me here. They're right there, that backwards kind of curve shape is what we're watching for this destructive winds, correct?
Yes, you'd be looking at, let me clear this off the screen and you can see, it would kind of be this area is where we're looking at that greatest.
And then back toward this way.
Yes, that's where the wind would be, and then we've got this is where your hail core would be. Now, teacup size hail, that's 3 inches.
Wow. So
that's incredible.
Here's the thing. This is damaging hail. This is severe hail, of course, in the worst sense of the word, but this is a dual threat here. You've got the severe hail, you've got the strong winds, and we're going to continue to track this as we head toward Estill County. So again, coming out of central Kentucky into our area, it's moving fairly slow, at least with the hail core, 40 miles per hour to the south and east, and this current warning goes until 11:30. I would not be surprised if we see Rockcastle and more of Jackson added to that southern warning there in the next little bit, especially for those damaging winds. So we're going to continue to watch this. We're actually going to take just a smidge of a break here for just a second, reset, and get Mountain News at 11 on the air here for you in just a minute.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening. I'm Keaton Hall. We continue to watch strong to severe thunderstorms pushing closer to the mountains this evening. First Alert meteorologist Evan Hatter has the very latest as our First Alert weather day ramps up. Evan, what's it looking like?
Well, Keaton, we are watching a very strong thunderstorm, a very severe thunderstorm, as a matter of fact, pushing into parts of the region right now. Let's go to First Alert Pinpoint Doppler. We'll show you what we're talking about. First off, everyone in yellow now under a severe thunderstorm watch until 4 a.m. But our main focus is on this cluster of thunderstorms pushing out of central Kentucky and now into eastern Kentucky. This thunderstorm in Madison County, we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Estill, Lee, Powell, Jackson, Owsley, and Wolfe counties. That goes until let me make sure of my time here. That warning goes until, we have so many warnings out there. This warning goes until at least 11:15. But what we're watching in that thunderstorm is what the Weather Service in Louisville over in Madison County there has called a destructive thunderstorm with the potential for winds in excess of 80 miles per hour and the potential for potential for hail to the size of teacups as that continues to work on through. It was warned for baseball size hail. We got a report, or excuse me, it was warned for tennis ball size hail. We got a report of hail to the size of baseballs, and we did have a report from one of the local amateur radio reporters out in Madison County of hail breaking windows on Union City Road near Hackett Pike, and the ground was covered in hail to the size of at least marbles. Of course, marbles come in different sizes, but this is a thunderstorm we have to watch very closely as it moves to the south and east at 40 miles per hour. And I just saw we have a new warning until 11:45 now for Jackson, Laurel, Pulaski, very small sliver of Pulaski County, and Rockcastle County for that back edge of that cell, and that'll be moving toward those locations conditions here. That warning goes until 11:45. So we are continuing to watch the possibility for destructive thunderstorms pushing into the region. And let's give a track on this before we hop back over to the news desk. And you'll see as we push this out for the next hour or so, that hail core at least, we're talking places like Locust Branch within the next 15 minutes, Wagersville by 11:24, Sand Springs on the Jackson-Estill County line by about 11:30, Pinnacle 11:39, Beattyville by 11:52, and Sturgeon over in Owsley County by 11:56. Keaton, we'll be keeping a very, very close eye on these thunderstorms, and we'll have an update as conditions warrant and an update on when things start to calm down a little bit here in a few minutes.
11. Right now, we're going to go into wall-to-wall coverage of severe storms moving into the area. So, Evan and Brandon, I leave it up to you guys.
All right, thanks, Keaton. We are now tracking a destructive severe thunderstorm threat there going through parts of Estill, Jackson, Lee, Owsley, Powell, and Wolfe counties until 11:30. So that's what we're taking back over coverage from Keaton. Appreciate him giving us the news of the day there. But again, this is turning into a situation where we're going to have to really keep an eye on this. We've had reports so far of baseball-sized hail coming out of Madison County. Destructive winds mean we can see up to 80-mile-an-hour gusts. So we're in dangerous territory here. They put that threat level on there just a few minutes ago, and these storms are continuing to track out of central Kentucky. They're now moving into the area. We're going to continue to watch those, but again, this is a very dangerous situation. That warning also goes down, not this specific warning, but another warning goes all the way down toward London, toward basically Rockcastle County over Mount Vernon area. So if you're in the area that we've got kind of highlighted here, you've got just a few minutes to get inside, get those cars put up in the other parts of the area that we're not talking about right now. So again, here is the thing. I know you're watching us on Facebook too. If we are not talking about your area, you are okay for the moment, okay? When we start talking about you, that's when you got to get a little bit concerned. But it's 11:16 McKee, back over toward Mount Vernon at 11:18. So this is that whole complex of storms here. Anytime a storm bows out like this, that means destructive and damaging winds are very likely, okay? The tornado threat is still there. It's very minimal. We're not even watching for that right now. We're watching for that destructive hail and the possibility for those damaging winds. But this whole line here, again, Annville at 11:30, Beattyville at 11:33, St. Helens, that's over in Lee County as well, 11:40. Not in the warning just yet, but Burning Springs, Clay County, 11:45. Oneida over in Clay County, 11:50. Big Creek, that's approaching basically the Leslie Perry County line there, 12:05, 12:09 for Krypton, which is in the northern parts of Perry County. So again, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this on air, online, whatever, you need to be inside, okay? You need to be in a shelter. Again, if you have a tornado shelter, 80-mile-an-hour winds, that can be just as bad, even if it's just straight line winds as a tornado. So you need to be in a safe spot right now, downstairs, under something sturdy. This is not a tornado warned storm. There is no tornado possible tag on it. I am making this clear. This is a wind event and a hail event. And we have that severe thunderstorm watch. It goes until 4 a.m. So this could be a very long night for a lot of people. Evan.
That's right, Brandon. And we were just talking about this. It's not often we see these tags, right? We see destructive. It gets our attention very quickly. The Weather Service in Louisville at one point, they cover Madison County, Garrett County, Lincoln County. They had that warning as destructive. With the potential for 3-inch hail at one point. But 80-mile-per-hour winds, the possibility is this is now rolling through downtown Irvine as we speak, essentially. I'm going to clear the track off so you can kind of see what we're dealing with here. There's the latest scan. So this is coming in to downtown Irvine as we speak with the potential for winds to 80 miles per hour and hail to the size of at least limes or hen eggs. That's right, 2-inch hail. And then the potential for even larger hail back to the west. And we're getting several reports from the amateur radio network, the ham radio network, the spotters in Madison County coming through the Louisville's chat that they have had several reports of windows broken in houses from this hail working on through. So this is a serious situation as this continues to roll through Ravenna and Irvine and eventually on toward Beattyville as well. We're talking the county seat of Estill County, the county seat of Lee County. So this can continue to move to the east. And I'm going to put on the velocity, if I can find the right velocity palette there, you can see there's the heaviest of the wind. Yeah. We're not looking at rotation here. We're just looking at the bright colors and the pockets of heavy wind potential as this continues to push off to the east.
So very, very important to point out
And
here.
we have a tornado warning now.
Okay, so back to that. Tornado warning now just issued. That goes until, let me see here.
11:30.
11:30. So that is for parts of Lee. It's actually just for Lee County. Okay.
Lee and Estill.
Okay, it doesn't have Estill on my watch here, but okay. Estill and Lee counties, you're now under a tornado warning. So let's see what we got going on there. So again, very dangerous situations got even worse. So if you live basically to the south and east of Irvin, back over toward Highway 399, this is the time to get into your safe spot. We know this is a late night event. We know that this is turning a little bit more violent than we kind of expected it. But again, we never, when you're in this kind of a risk level, rule tornadoes out. It's still a level 3 and a level 2 for a lot of areas. There is the area, if a tornado is touching down, it would be south and east of Irvin. Right there where he's got circled is the area of rotation that we're continuing to watch. That is tracking off to the southeast. Evan, if you can put a track on there to kind of show us where this is going and what communities will be impacted at least in the next, let's say, 30 minutes.
Sure, let me get this. We're having to change the speed here. The tornado warned part of the storm is moving east at, here, I'll give you 24. It's moving east at 50 miles per hour.
So it's picking up a little bit of speed
and
there.
That's what can happen with these tornado warning scenarios is you get these lines, these severe to destructive lines of storms. You can get one area that maybe starts to move a little faster than the rest. And that's where you can get that rotation in there. And that's what we're dealing with here in Estill County.
Okay, I'm going to step this way for just a second to kind of get my bearings, to kind of point some of these out. So again, Pinnacle, that's probably right there along the Estill County line going into Lee County potentially. Is Beattyville in this polygon?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so it is. So Beattyville, basically you're going to be seeing this about 11:32. Heidelberg, which is also in Lee County, I know that for sure, at 11:29. That's where the Kentucky River meets the right there, and Lee at Owsley County as well, at Estill County. So we're going to be seeing all of these communities being impacted in the next few minutes. St. Helens at 11:36. That's also in Lee County. This is a tornado warning from now until 11:30, moving 50 miles to the hour to the southeast. So if you're in any of these communities highlighted here, you've got minutes to get into your safe spot. If you've got a helmet, put it on, just like we talk about in school talks. Anything you can do to protect your head, because without your brain, the rest of your body will not work. So you have to protect your head. Get under something sturdy. A basement is best if you are in a mobile home. If you're in a trailer, a lot of folks across our region live in trailers. They are not safe. Get out, find somewhere safe right away. We've been talking about this for a couple of days, that you needed to put some plans in place. It's the time to put those plans in action, okay? So again, anywhere that's highlighted here, you've got minutes to get into those safe spots. Downstairs, under something sturdy. Put as much between you and the outside as possible. Closets, bathtubs, if you have nowhere else to go, but you got to get out of trailers, you got to get off the road there. And we continue to watch not only the tornado threat, we're watching the possibility for 80-mile-per-hour winds and the possibility for large hail in some locations as well.
They put the tornado, they put the hail, I think, at 1.5. So maybe in that particular section, we're talking hail only to the size of ping pong balls, but yeah.
So again, very dangerous overall situation, but we're going to continue to track this. This is going through some less populated areas. It does not mean, though, that there's not people living there. So you need to, if you can hear me on your television, on Facebook, and you know somebody that lives in the eastern parts of Estill County, the western parts and northern parts of Lee County, to get into their safe spot as soon as possible. Okay, very dangerous situation. Nighttime potential. We have no confirmed tornado on the ground with this. It is a tornado warning, but radar indicated only. But again, potential for that. Evan.
I'm going to zoom in just to see if we can get some local roads here. That is the Kentucky River right there.
Okay.
Texola, Millers Creek, it's that area. I know it doesn't look like a whole lot, but when you're dealing with even dark green next to light green in a shape like that, that's indicating that we've got enough spin in there that we could see the potential for.
So that's 1571, correct? 1571, and then that goes back over toward, is that 52? 52, Highway 52 out that way. That's in eastern Estill County, maybe even the parts of western Lee County there, northern Lee County. Pinnacle, you're kind of in the lane. This Layton, right down there. Evelyn, you guys are kind of in that possibility there. Putting some more local roads on there, right there along the border. That is hard to see over here, Evan.
That's Barnes Mountain Road.
Okay.
Little Buck Creek.
There you go. You call them out. Go
Old Landing Road. That's where it's headed over the next little bit. Old Landing Road there, and there's Old Landing there as you cross the border.
Right there.
Eventually over toward Patterson Logue Road and even Beach Timber Road. As you head over toward Lee County.
So this is the county line right here.
Yes, it kind of
runs across.
Follows the river there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
and
right there.
Here's the river, obviously. So again, we're kind of keeping a very close eye on that. But anywhere you see the little bit of red and the brighter greens is the area we're watching for the possibility of that rotating atmosphere that could spawn a quick spin-up tornado, okay? I know a lot of folks are worried about this situation. And you have cause to be, but again, we're going to be here with you as long as we need to be, and we'll be tracking this for you, keeping you safe. All right. So again, tornado warning for about another 9 minutes, unless it gets extended, for parts of Estill County and parts of Lee County. This does include the city of Beattyville. It does include Heidelberg in Lee County. It's past Irvin. At this point, it's actually just south and east of Irvin there. You see Irvin up there above our banner, the First Alert Weather Day banner. And again, we're going to continue to track this through parts of Estill County into Lee County. So this is a very dangerous situation. There's Highway 11, there's Highway 498, I believe. There's 399 to the south. So everybody's in that polygon. You need to be taking your precautions if you're inside of that polygon, because dangerous situation, especially when we've got, it's just not the possibility for tornado, it's the possibility for destructive winds and the possibility for damaging hail as well.
I'm going to put this in motion. You can see where this storm has been and where that storm sat over Madison County for a long time. They put out a flash flood warning for that area, and that's a threat we need to keep an eye on. I think these storms are moving fast enough that I don't think that's going to be a widespread issue, but if you happen to be, say, in a place like Irvin where these storms are kind of moving over the same spot for a while, you could see some ponding on the roads that could lead to the potential for some flash flooding. And again, flash flooding is not high on our list of issues right now, where we have the potential for very, very large hail to the size of hen eggs, as well as the potential for a tornado.
Let's go to the south for just a minute, because I just noticed on the chat the warning to the south now has a considerable tag on it.
Yes.
So go ahead.
Oh, sorry. That is for parts of Rockcastle, Laurel, and the other half of Jackson County that's not under the other warning, and also a sliver of Pulaski County. Folks see Pulaski County maybe on the crawl at the bottom of the screen. It is a very small sliver of Pulaski
right here,
County.
Northeastern, basically right here. So there you go.
Nowhere close to Somerset, Burnside, Eubank, well to your south, or even Science Hill. But that has the potential. And I think they're warning not so much for the actual thunderstorms, but notice, I'm going to stop the radar, and you can see this little green line. That is the leading edge of the damaging winds. That is the outflow boundary.
Yeah.
And that can sometimes as well, if it interacts with any cells out ahead of the line, can also produce the potential for additional rotation. And we now have a new severe thunderstorm warning. This has a damage threat of considerable. You're seeing it pop on the screen right now. Ahead of that, and it continues the other warning. The new warning is for Breathitt County, Clay County, Estill County, Jackson County, Lee County, Owsley County, Powell County, and Wolfe County until midnight. And that has the possibility for winds to 70 miles per hour and the potential for 1-inch hail. And they've actually brought the hail down on that original severe thunderstorm warning, the one that was destructive, 70-mile-per-hour winds and hail to the size of $50.
Okay, so we still have basically a damaging wind threat that's going to continue into the overnight hours. We're not even close to being done with this. This is just entering our area out of central Kentucky. They have had reports of high water issues. They have had reports of damaging winds. They've had reports of some major hail. The biggest thing that we need to refocus on right now is that bowing segment that Evan is kind of pointing out right now. Anywhere along that, it's kind of that, as he's mentioned before, that backwards shaped C. That's the area where it's bowing out. He pointed out the outflow boundary right here into parts of several counties there, down toward Livingston and Rockcastle County, over into parts of Jackson County there, and we're continuing to see that move through. But anywhere along this, you could have the potential for 60, 70, 80-mile-per-hour winds. Maybe they've backed off a little bit on the winds there, but a little bit, again, possibility for some rotating air. We've seen that in parts of eastern Estill County and parts of northern Lee County, and the possibility for some very large hail. So we're going to continue to watch this and track this as long as we need to.
I'm not sure what happened there with my mouse. It just kind of went on its own there for a second.
Went off on a tangent there for a second.
Yeah, you know, it's Sunday night. It wants to go to bed. But we can't do that yet because we've got severe weather in place. Let's take this this will go for about, let's do this about the next hour.
Okay.
Moving at 40 miles per hour. And you can see where we're headed. I'll put the clock back on so you can see that there, where this whole Boeing segment is headed over the next few minutes. We still have that tornado warning for about another 4 minutes or so. Okay, we're going to let that go.
Okay.
I just saw that. They're going to let that go.
Okay, so regardless, though, we had that possibility. And what I was going to say before you mentioned the tornado warning, that was good news to hear. But even some of these counties that we're highlighting, you're not under a warning yet. But this severe thunderstorm watch goes out until 4 a.m. And we have been preaching, and we have been harping, and we've been talking about this for basically since Friday. Since Friday morning, we've been talking about this. Damaging winds, hail, main threats. That's what we're seeing right now. So Yellow Rock at 11:27, basically on top of you. Beattyville, you've got a few more minutes, 11:36. Personally, I would treat this, especially with 60, 70 mile an hour winds, treat it almost like a tornado. It's not a tornado per se, but those straight line damaging winds can do just as much damage in some cases as a tornado. So get into a safe spot, be inside. If you've not had a chance to put those cars inside, there is hail with these storms. Try to do that if you can. If you can't, just hope for the best on that one. But again, pointing out some communities, 1139 in Anvil, over into Jackson County. St. Helens at 1143, that is in Lee County. Burning Springs in Clay County, 1155. Wolf Cole, I believe that is over in Breathitt County, just after midnight, 1206. Krypton and Perry County at 1210. Hazard, 1224. So if this holds together within the next less than 1 hour, it will be here at our doorstep, and we may be able to show you some cameras. No more wind gusts that we've heard so far, except for that 70 mile an hour one in Madison County that we've heard.
Right. Just to recap what we heard earlier, we did have a 70 mile per hour wind gust 1 mile northwest of Richmond. It appears that this storm has done some damage in Madison County. We had several reports of hail blowing out, or not blowing out, but hail knocking out windows broken. Meadowbrook Road near Moberly, that's in Madison County, as well as over into other parts of Madison County. So this is something, we haven't seen the damage in our area, but it has produced damage out to the west, and that's why we need to take this storm seriously.
And before we actually got that tornado warning, I was getting ready to read a tweet that I had just gotten from a guy who lives up in central Kentucky. He tagged a lot of us in it. It said, took an hour to get from Lexington to Richmond, hit large hail right at Clay's Ferry on I-75. In Richmond. I guess he goes to school at Eastern or something like that. There's limbs in the streets, and parts of the city have no power.
That would make sense, because that is right where that area went, right over the interstate. It went over 75 where Fayette and Madison counties come together, and that is also an area that's seen a lot of construction over the last little while, road work. So I remember a few weeks ago was driving north on 75 while a big time area of thunderstorms was working on through. It wasn't severe, but it was still strong enough to be like, I wouldn't want to be driving on this, in this type of road. So if you don't have to be out tonight, especially in the areas you see here that are under the warning, even really most of the area, because a lot of us are still going to be impacted by this potential for strong to severe thunderstorm activity through the next little bit. Just stay inside if you don't have to be out.
Exactly. That's the best thing to do. Let's pop the watch up for just a second, because I know we're probably getting comments about, what about me? What about, okay, so it looks like they've replaced the tornado watch with a severe thunderstorm watch. So that will now obviously go past 11 o'clock. We'll get that squared away here in a second. Thank you, Evan, for that. And then, of course, the severe thunderstorm watch for the eastern parts of the state does not include the I-64 corridor, and really not a whole lot of the Mountain Parkway corridor. But, of course, we've been seeing those storms kind of riding along in South Mountain Parkway. Does not include the Big Sandy, does not include parts of West Virginia, the upper two counties there of Southwest Virginia, Buchanan and Dickinson. So again, it doesn't mean you're not going to see strong storms, but it does mean the Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center expect those as we get deeper into the night. Those storms will diminish below severe intensity, at least maybe just some strong wind and below severe limits, okay? So the further east you live, the better the shape you are. But again, we still have the possibility for these storms that we're tracking right now to continue to cause problems. And again, anywhere basically just south of Stanton along this line, Beattyville, you're getting ready to get some pretty good strong winds right now over into parts of Owsley County there. there. Sturgeon, I know Boonville's back this way just a little bit. McKee, you're getting it right now. So if you're traveling 421 between Burning Springs and over toward McKee, and north of that back over toward Berea going toward Madison County, lots of rain, lots of lightning. We scoot on to the south just a little bit. Anywhere you kind of see that line kind of bowing through there, that's going to be bringing those strong winds in front of it, and we're going to continue to watch that. Now there here is kind of the outflow boundary. Looks like it's approaching I-75 in Laurel County. He's circling that right now, so it's getting close to East Bernstein. I noticed that. The Greenmount community, I believe that's still in Laurel County. Burning Springs getting closer to you. So this is an area of strong wind ahead of the main line of storms. So again, dual threats here. We've not had any hail reports here in the last little bit. Again, we're kind of getting into the later parts of the night that we might get some of these a little bit later on, but of course, back to a considerable tag on these thunderstorms for threat levels. So that means winds of up to 60, 70 miles per hour.
Yeah, 70 miles per hour with those. And we're going to continue to watch the outflow boundary. What that generally means is the storms are exhaling cold air, and it's starting, at least on the southern end, to outrun the thunderstorms.
Right.
So they're going to start to weaken a little, but the primary area of severe weather remains this part of the storm into, it's now pushing this apex of this bow, as we say, pushing through Estill. I cannot draw tonight. Estill, Lee into Owsley and Jackson counties. That's where you're seeing the backward C shape. That's why we call it a bow echo, because it's like a bow and arrow. We're pushing the air out, and that's where we get the potential for strong winds. Some folks on Facebook saying they're in Lancaster in Garrett County. They are without power.
Okay.
Back in Garrett County. Garrett County is just to the west of our area there, just to the west of Rockcastle County, northwest of Rockcastle County. So
all right.
We've knocked power out. We've knocked some windows out of homes in Madison County. That's why we're on the air right now, because this storm has a history of producing damage.
Exactly, and this is kind of why we're wall to wall too. I know a lot of our friends up in Lexington have been this way because they've been seeing the damage reports coming in, and hopefully we do not see a whole lot of damage. We're not going to say that we're not going to, but again, this storm, this complex of storms has the history of already producing damage, and it's moving into the northwestern sections of our coverage area now that we're going to continue to watch. It is south of the Mountain Parkway, so I think the Storm Prediction Center and the Weather Service did a pretty good job with kind of outlining the risk area with the severe thunderstorm watch. But again, places like Jackson, places like Hazard, Buckhorn, you guys, especially if anybody's out. I know some friends of mine asked me earlier, is it okay to go night fishing? And I was like, absolutely not. If you're out on the lake at Buckhorn, if you're out on any of the local lakes and you're doing some night fishing, get off of the lake, get into a shelter, because you're getting ready to get a storm that's going to be, at the very least, windy, and there could be some hail in it and probably some lightning as well. And of course, lightning and water does not mix, not a good combination.
Right.
So
I actually had to turn the lightning back on. I turned it off because it was hard to see.
Right.
Because there were
so
many, out there. So we'll continue to work on that. Just doing a couple things here behind the scenes.
No, that's perfect. But again, just dual threats tonight. Of course, we started talking about this Friday morning, the possibility for this coming in tonight. Of course, the risk is still there for the stronger storms all the way through the early morning hours, and we'll be here as long as we need to. Give you another track on those real quick to take you through as we head closer to midnight, a little bit after midnight probably. So about 12:30 here in Hazard, I'd say we'll start to see the leading edge of those storms work its way through. It looks like I'm seeing some lightning on our cameras there, Evan, behind you on Buffalo Mountain, and maybe on top of the studios, maybe where it's off in the distance. They're seeing some of that. But again, lots of lightning with these storms. Beattyville, you've got just a few more minutes to get into a safe spot there. 11:39 for you guys over in Lee County, coming toward Canoe. I believe that is over in Breathitt County near Jackson at 12:02. Jackson proper, 12:09 Krypton over in Perry County, 12:15 Dice, and Yerkes here in Perry County as well, 12:21. Any report? Was that something new?
That's a flood advisory for Estill, Jackson, Lee, Owsley, Powell, and Wolf.
So again, basically the main threats for this is damaging wind and hail. But we also said all modes of severe weather are on the table tonight, and that's indicating also that third I don't want to call it secondary. I guess technically it is a secondary threat of heavy rain that could lead to some localized high water issues. So we're continuing to see that flood advisory coming in there for parts of the region there. That goes until 2:45, it looks like. Yes. There. I'm kind of looking over at that monitored. But again, Cow Creek, in this area of this, 11:48. Beattyville coming up at 11:39 here in about 4 minutes. So again, safe spots, please. Lots of lightning. You may lose power. Charge your devices if you're kind of south of this line. Make sure that you can still continue to watch us if you need to. We're on Facebook. We're on the air. We're on, I believe we may be on the app too. So again, we're continuing to watch all this, but as many ways we can get the word out to you, we're trying to do that. But hazard here and hazard proper around 12:30 if this line holds together, which it looks like it's going to, because it's not really lost anything in the last little bit.
It really hasn't. We've dropped some of the potential there for the larger hail and the higher winds, but this still has the possibility, especially along the leading edge of this line, to produce winds up to 70 miles per hour as this pushes to the south and east. So backing out again, just kind of showing you a general, let me clear off the screen here. Do it with the press of a button. We can back it up and play this over the last 3 hours, and you can see this isn't the only game in town. We've got another line of storms that's going to be set to move into some areas that are already being impacted out to the west, and they are dealing with a strong line of storms pushing through the Bowling Green area in southern Kentucky. That's got part of Pulaski and Wayne County's name on it here in the next hour, Brandon.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll be watching that for you as well. One of the main things that you'll notice here in this loop, lots and lots and lots of lightning. Now, we know to our north, in places back over toward Indiana, central Indiana had some tornadoes today. Thankfully, we are not kind of in that sector for that. We're in the sector for damaging winds. We're in the sector for somewhat large hail if we continue to see that hold together. But of course, the thing you need to understand is everybody's like, oh, tornado, tornado, tornado. Straight line winds can do just as much damage as a tornado, okay? You have to think about that. This is a nighttime event. You're not going to be able to really see it coming, the wind especially, because again, there's no tornado warnings on the board at all. So if you're watching this, wherever you're watching this, no tornado warnings statewide, okay? Just severe thunderstorm warnings, and it's because of that threat, that main threat, that damaging wind, straight line threat that can do just as much damage as a tornado. So in this situation, you need to take basically your tornado precautions, because you're prepping as if that is going to be the case, okay? Because again, hear me, straight line winds can do just as much or worse damage than a tornado, and we're tracking those. Thankfully, they have died down somewhat, but we're still not out of the danger zone yet.
And yes, our main focus continues to be, and I'll zoom back in on places like Boonville right now, on Beattyville. You're seeing tremendous amounts of lightning, heavy rain, the potential for perhaps some large hail, and even the isolated tornado threat rather low, but that 60 to 70 mile per hour wind threat has been the main threat the whole time, and that's what we're going to continue to watch the potential for as we head through the next little bit. And this warning goes again until midnight here for these counties. I'll turn the radar off for just a second so we can get a vantage point of so we can get a vantage point of exactly who's in and who's out of what. We have the severe thunderstorm warning still in effect for Estill, the northeastern side of Jackson County, that's Jackson County, all of Lee County, all of Owsley County, just about, the northern tip of Clay County, the northern kind of north of Manchester there, slivers of Wolfe and Powell counties, and then the eastern, the very western part of Breathitt County in that warning. We have another warning that goes until 11:45 for Jackson. The other half of Jackson County, Laurel County, the northern part of Laurel County, this doesn't include London or Corbin, but does include Bernstadt and East Bernstadt, as well as Rockcastle County, and that includes Mount Vernon until 11:45. And the Weather Service just updating the warning There, you see it flashing on the screen. That is got a tornado possible tag on it, as well as a considerable damage threat for winds up to 70 miles per hour. We've taken the hail down to 1 inch, which makes sense considering this is becoming more linear than supercellular, but we haven't lost all those supercellular characteristics yet, and we are still dealing with a very strong thunderstorm.
So this will include Beattyville. So let's go back over. Let's pull velocity up for just a second to see if we see anything here. I'm curious to see. Okay, so again, you have to have the reds and greens going toward each other, but when you see the greens like this, it means very strong wind, okay, moving toward. So again, you've got basically Highway 11, you've got Highway 30 right there at the Owsley and Lee County line, so you guys need to be in your tornado safe spots. They've just added now that tornado possible tag. That warning goes until 12. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, goes until midnight there, so we're going to continue to watch this for a little bit. And we're also watching, I know a lot of folks are probably asking in the comments on Facebook and just asking in general, what about my county? If we're not talking about you, you're okay for the moment, okay? We're focused on where the worst of the storms are right now. So St. Helens, back down toward Beattyville, back over all the way to Booneville, Sturgeon communities. If you live along 11, if you live along 30, it's kind of coming in your direction there. 52 going back out that way. And again, considerable threat, possibility for 70-mile-per-hour winds down to about 1 inch hail, which help me with the, is that ping
quarters.
Pong? Quarters. Okay, quarter size hail. I know the numbers, but sometimes it gets a little bit confusing out there when you talk about relating it to sizes of things. But again, that's for Breathitt, Clay, Estill, Jackson, Lee, and Owsley counties until midnight tonight. And they've got that tornado possible tag on there. So you could see some pretty strong winds. And anywhere where you're seeing, if you want to circle that white right there, Evan, anywhere where you're seeing that, we know that that is pretty strong winds out there. Not necessarily rotation, but again, as I've talked about time and time again, straight line winds can do just as much damage as a tornado in situations like this one.
I'm actually trying to find the parameter so I can sample that. I can't find it real quick, but in any case, the possibility for 70-mile-per-hour winds is there as that continues to push through. Right now, it is in portions of Estill County, or it's actually in Lee County, and that'll be pushing through the rest of Lee County and sneaking through the very far northern parts of Owsley County over the next little bit. And this warning still goes for more than 15 minutes, so we are not done with this by a long shot, and we've got a ways to go before we can declare this one over with. But yeah, we're watching this area of high winds. You see those brighter colors. That indicates that the radar is seeing pretty high returns in terms of the wind there. Most of that is just south of Beattyville, but if you know anyone along along Highway 7 between Beattyville and Pebworth, that is where the strongest potential for straight line winds continues here for the next about 15-16 minutes.
There you go. So again, we're watching that cell there. This will be just to the north of Booneville. This is just to the south of Beattyville. So that's right along 11 there. It's right along parts of 52 going back over toward Breathitt County, toward Jackson area. Now, I do believe, depending on how this is tracking, it may miss the city of Jackson, but parts of Breathitt County will be impacted by this storm. Obviously, Perry County will be impacted by this storm once it moves a little bit further. So we're going to continue to watch this. But again, right there, we're focused on basically southern Lee County, northern Owsley County right now, where we're seeing, again, where he's drawn that circle, those two circles there, the possibility for some very strong winds in excess of 70 miles per hour or greater. And we're going to continue to watch this. We have not had any damage reports. Of course, we have not had any confirmed, and we only had the one tornado warning. We have had no confirmed tornadoes in our area today. I don't even think we've had a tornado in Kentucky today.
As far as I'm aware, we haven't had any, no. We did have a warning that took in part of the Louisville Metro about 5 hours ago.
Right.
So far, we haven't heard of anything here in the Commonwealth, which is good, but they had some rather large-looking tornadoes out into portions of Indiana earlier today, and that's why we continue to take this threat seriously. Now, the tornado threat is much lower. We're not talking long track tornadoes here. This is more of your spin-up tornado type, kind of like what we saw a little while ago. The potential was there for a spin-up tornado there in the parts of Estill County. That warning was allowed to go about 15 minutes ago, but we continue to watch the potential for winds to 70 miles per hour and hail to the size of quarters as this pushes through and
actually go back
out. Yeah,
I just saw that.
So the Weather Service out in Louisville, that's what was just popping up over here, has issued a severe thunderstorm warning that takes in every county that borders Pulaski to the north and west.
Yeah.
So that's Russell, Casey, and Lincoln,
Yeah.
as well as part of Adair. And that the Weather Service has already put out a statement saying, hey, this is a heads up. This is headed your way. The potential for 40-mile-per-hour winds and hail to the size of a half inch. That's mothball size hail, or marble for some folks, but there's so many different sizes of marbles that we don't like to say marble size hail. But actually, I think that's with the southern end of this line.
Yeah.
And this next section will be moving into places like Somerset and Monticello over the next little bit.
So take us out just a little bit there, Evan. We'll kind of do a reset here because we have more storms that are coming in from the west. He was mentioning Bowling Green earlier, and we have this complex. It's kind of a southern complex from this one that's come out of central Kentucky, impacting some of our neighbors in the northwestern parts of our area. But again, if you're along Lake Cumberland, of course, right now, I'm sure very, very busy getting ready as we approach in the next couple of weeks the 4th of July holiday weekend, and we're not there yet, but I know a lot of folks. I've seen people posting on Facebook they're heading down. They're maybe down at the Conley Bottom. Maybe get into a safe spot because we're giving you an early heads up there if you're on Lake Cumberland in Pulaski or Russell County over there, or Adair County, any of those counties that Lake Cumberland and goes through there. Get into a safe spot because this could be definitely, especially coming through your area right now. And then, of course, we're still watching this complex of storms that is impacting. And this, again, is going to impact most of the region until about 4 o'clock in the morning. We have the severe thunderstorm watch that is out until 4 a.m. for all the counties. That does not include basically the I-64 corridor, Rowan County, and then just down toward the eastern ends of the Mountain Parkway. We're talking about over toward Wolfe County, over toward Prestonsburg, over toward Sangersville, those areas. The Big Sandy not included in this severe thunderstorm watch. West Virginia counties are not included in that. Mingo, Logan, and Wayne, and then of course Buchanan and Dickinson counties not included. But this also takes in parts of Southwest Virginia, also takes in parts of East Tennessee, Claiborne, Campbell, Lee, and Wise, and the city of Norton also until 4 a.m.
Yes, and just updating, we'll put the loop on there and then we'll zoom back in. We've bumped that hail up. You can kind of see there right on the Owsley and Lee County line, we're getting those darker returns. That indicates that the radar is bouncing off more things. All that radar does is it bounces off things, and based on how much signal gets returned is where we see the brighter areas, and that's why the Weather Service just upped the on the warning there. That continues until midnight for golf ball size hail. And the good news, State EOC has not received any reports out of Laurel County, or excuse me, Estill County yet. We haven't heard anything out of Laurel either. Good. But nothing out of Estill County here from State EOC so far.
Yep, good deal. So we're tracking that, and we're continuing to track that. But right here, I'm going to point it out for you real fast. It's right here on the Lee and Owsley County line, right there, south of St. Helens, over toward. Again, the Cow Creek area, that's right there. It's kind of riding right along the border. So again, if you're along the Lee and Owsley County line, this is kind of pushing your way, and then it eventually will push into parts of Breathitt County with that polygon. So again, just continue to watch that. Parts of Breathitt County, the western parts of Breathitt County, already under that severe thunderstorm warning until midnight. So we'll see if that gets expanded past that. Got a text just a few minutes ago from a friend of mine here in Perry County, thunder and lightning and Chavez now, so that's coming this general direction.
That makes sense. I was just turning around behind us. We've got the and Josh in the control booth. If you could pull up our second weather computer, the Max 2, we've got the camera on the roof that we can maybe look at, and you can see what we're dealing with. We've just dark 70. For the most part. It's 70 out, which makes sense for this time of year and this time of night. But watch just a little bit. You can actually see some of the lightning as that pushes through. You actually see somebody working down there into parts of Black Gold Boulevard there. Just working through there. But we had a view of some lightning a little while ago, and actually part of that's that the camera's turned the other way, just because we're actually looking down 15. So let's go back to the radar, and then I'll pull up our Buffalo Mountain camera, which I can turn much more easily because It's a little hard to turn the other way here because we have the mountain behind the station.
So we have the hail core that moved just a little bit further into Owsley County, it looks like there. We kind of have to redraw that circle, but right there near Cow Creek is where we're looking at the possibility for that hail core trying to develop there. So it's kind of pulling a little further south, so that would be headed, if it stays on its current course, down toward Buckhorn. So again, that area right there, hail is possible, of course, those strong winds. Now, I have noticed that in the last little bit, we've kind of increased the hail chances, but it looks like the curvature is not, okay, there we go. So there's some hail, pretty good hail there along the line there. So we'll have to kind of wait and see exactly how that comes out. So that'd be about quarter size, inch is about quarter size.
Yes, yeah. A new severe thunderstorm warning for Breathitt, Clay, Jackson, Lee, Leslie, Owsley, and Perry counties until 12:15. So let's back out. And I backed out too far, and I'm not even on the right product. So let's get there. There's our new warning. So we're pushing that out. You see where we're going with, in terms of the, they're making this large as this line pushes through. This doesn't yet include downtown Hazard. Jackson, downtown Jackson's on the line.
Right.
This does look like it includes maybe right on the line. It does include Manchester. I was looking at maybe right on the line there, downtown Hayden.
Hayden's in it.
As well. This one is going to move to the east, southeast at 45. So let's put a new track on that as that pushes to the east at 45 miles per hour. And again, nope, not 450. That's a problem.
Nope.
Not 425 either. Can't type today. Can't do much today, can I?
That's okay.
But here we go. As we push to the south and east. Let's take it through the rest of the warning, at least another half hour. And I will move this out of the way so you can see the storm and you can also see who's next.
Exactly. So new flood advisory looks like just came in there. Got a text on that till 3 for Owsley, Rockcastle, maybe some others.
Yes, Jackson, Owsley, and Rockcastle.
Okay, so there you go. Got that too. But here's some communities. I'm going to step this way so you can actually see still lots of lightning in this storm. So again, very electrical. We'll have to kind of check on power outage numbers here in a little bit. But Burning Springs, 11:53, so you got about 2 minutes to get into a safe spot. Oneida over in Clay County, 11:56. Wildcat. Not exactly sure which county Wildcat is in. It's got to be one of these Warren counties there. I'm just not exactly sure where that one's at. Buckhorn, of course, I know is in Perry County, 12:02. Canoe up in Breathitt County, 12:03. 12:06 for Sized-Rock. I do believe that's in Clay County. Big Creek in Clay County, 12:09. Krypton in Perry County at 12:13. Hayden at 12:16. So Hayden, of course, now in this warning, and the Yerkes community there at 12:17. So those are some of the areas that are going to be impacted basically till the end of this warning, which is right now at 12:15. Unless they extend it a little further.
That's right, Brandon. And Josh, sorry to do this to you again. Can we throw it to our PC in the control room there? That's a Max 2. We're actually going to see if we can see a little lightning, yes, out there. So I haven't seen much lightning here from the Buffalo Mountain camera. I'm going to turn that here in a second. I pulled up the power outage U.S. numbers, and we're already starting to see a few power outages in Rockcastle County. Jackson County, about 700, 870 outages there in Estill County, and we're going to see about 651 in Lee County. The biggest areas that have seen power outages in the state so far, Jessamine County saw quite a bit of damage from that. 13,000 out there, and then down closer to the Bowling Green area, Edmondson County, home of Brownsville, there seeing quite a few power outages. But we're starting to see those power outage numbers come up in parts of the Kentucky River Valley, and I think we're going to see those numbers continue to go up as we head through the nighttime hours as we continue to watch this scoot through the region.
Exactly. So we're tracking all this. We'll continue to track it for you until we believe the threat has diminished, and of course that means we'll be on the air until, you know, we see the threat starting to go. Yeah, let's go back to radar. Until the threat diminishes just a little bit there. So, of course, this severe thunderstorm warning goes for several counties, includes not quite the city of Jackson there, but just south of Jackson, just to the north and west of Hazard. Buckhorn's included, Manchester's included, Burning Springs is basically on top of you. Big Creek there, Hayden, you're included in this warning until 12:15, and also Buckhorn. So if you know anybody out at Buckhorn Lake, if you know anybody traveling the Hal Rogers Parkway between Hazard and Hayden, or Highway 80 coming back toward Hazard, I know that's kind of odd, but that's the way it works out in that situation there. As keep an eye on that. Maybe give them a call, like, hey, maybe get off the roads for just a little bit. You got a storm coming towards you. Some strong winds, up to 60, 70 mile per hour winds. Some decent sized hail in that. Still watching this hail core kind of right here where you're seeing a little bit of that return there in Owsley County, kind of showing that there for you a little bit. And then, of course, all this working its way through, and this new round of severe thunderstorm warnings go until 12:15. Now, again, this system overall has had a history of producing damage from damaging winds, from hail, power outages. Again, you have to treat this situation because it's an overnight, nighttime situation. There's the loop showing the last few hours of what it's been doing, of creating damage, bringing trees down, bringing power lines down. You have to treat this as a severe weather maker because of the simple fact hail can damage cars. Of course, it can damage roofs, it can damage anything, especially if it's big enough. And straight line winds can be just as damaging as a tornado, okay? Even though the tornado threat, very, very minimal, still on the table, very minimal though, the straight line wind threat continues, and we've still got more storms that we're tracking coming out of south central Kentucky that's coming back over that way. There's a whole line going back out almost all the way to Hopkinsville, so way, way out in western Kentucky. So we're continuing to watch that. But right here, right now, these are the storms that we're focused in on that's coming into our area, coming through parts of Lee and Owsley counties, coming through Jackson County, coming into northern parts of Laurel County. We have another line of storms that's kind of lined up along I-75. Now, that area has been worked over a little bit in the last few minutes, but again, they're trying to redevelop. You see that bow shape trying to continue to form again. So we're going to continue to watch that. This is coming up on and there's a bow shape right here in our region too. So anywhere along that backwards kind of C shape, you're going to see strong wind gusts. You're going to see the possibility for some damaging winds, and the possibility for hail is also there. So Hal Rogers Parkway, Highway 15 between Hazard and Jackson, Highway 80 going back over past Hazard toward Heineman. I'd say these storms will kind of race their way that way as we get a little bit deeper into the night.
Put the motion back on these just so you know where these are headed. I know a lot of folks, I've got the Facebook comments going just so folks are asking what about my county. A lot of folks kind of sending us some reports of what they can. Destiny a few minutes ago said thunder and lightning near Canoe and Breathitt County, thunder and lightning in Buckhorn, which makes sense because we are getting this very strong thunderstorm pushing in. But I am noticing, and I'll see if you notice this too, Brandon. I'm going to zoom in on this, and you notice we're starting to see that outflow boundary become a little more apparent as you head toward Manchester. Now, first, that's going to give you that burst of wind, 60 to 70 miles per hour.
Right.
But I notice that behind it, when you start to see that show up, behind it, the storms start to weaken a little bit because they're no longer being able to ingest the warm and moist air that keeps thunderstorms going. They're basically breathing in their own exhaust.
Right.
So that gives you the potential for those storms to weaken, and that's what we're seeing, and that even the main kind of cell there looks a little more ragged. Now, we're getting a little close to the radar as part of it, but that is definitely a good sign, but that's still warned for about another little more than 15 minutes.
Exactly, and I noticed that too once you pointed it out there, Evan. But yeah, that's what it's doing there. So it's near Manchester right now. So if you got anybody that that's traveling along the Hal Rogers Parkway between Manchester and Hazard right now, maybe tell them like, hey, you're going to see some. Give them a call, say you're going to see some pretty strong wind, maybe pull over for a few minutes, and it's just going to be heavy rain now. We have not had any more hail reports. We've not had any wind reports in eastern Kentucky just yet. Lots of thunder and lightning reports. We know these storms are very electrical, but again, the potential is still there, at least for the next few minutes. We'll stay on the air with this one until about 12:15, unless we see something else come back into play from those western line of storms, and then we may end our coverage. But again, there's also not only these storms that we're tracking that's moving deeper into the region there, we also have that line of storms that's approaching Lake Cumberland, approaching the I-75 corridor from the west. But so far, it looks like even though those storms are starting to move into Pulaski County, nothing has been actually, I had to eat those words right there. So new severe thunderstorm warning for Pulaski County, parts of Wayne County, and then includes the city of London this time. Right, Evan?
Yes, that is Jackson, Laurel, Pulaski, Rockcastle, and Wayne. So that includes Monticello, Somerset, actually just about all of Pulaski County, northern half of Laurel County, so basically London and north.
Right.
Lilly to London and north. Not looking at anything over toward Corbin just yet, but it's headed your way over the next little bit. And we take, I suppose, the rest of Rockcastle. Yeah,
all of Rockcastle.
All of Rockcastle and all of Wayne County as well.
So when does this go to?
Or the northern western half of Wayne County, I'm sorry, 12:45.
12:45.
This is more of a, if you can call it, a standard severe thunderstorm.
Right.
Like 60-mile-per-hour winds, hail to the size of pennies, so not severe hail, but still the potential that we could knock down some trees. And supposedly we've already seen some of that into parts of Lee County. We're going to get that confirmed there, but something to work on.
Okay, so what our plan is for now, unless we see something active develop, we will probably end our coverage around 12:15. Okay, once this first warning, we know there's other warnings out there, but we don't stay on the air unless we have confirmed damage reports. Okay, the reason we're continuing to be on for these storms to our north is because these storms have had reported damage in central Kentucky. They've had power outages. They've brought down trees. They've brought large hail in some locations. So we will stay on until 12:15, and then if we have to come back on, we always can do that. But again, this is the reason we're continuing to stay on for right now, is because of this cluster of storms up here that has had the history of producing damage. But as Evan mentioned earlier, the outflow boundary looks to be coming through. It's taking some of the fuel out of these storms. They're starting to become more rain makers and lightning makers and things like that. And we've not had any really hail confirmed reports here recently.
It looks like we've got a public report near Winston. That's the western part of Estill County. Basically from Winston west to the Madison County line along Kentucky 52, multiple trees down.
Okay.
So that makes sense from where we saw that huge gust of wind a little bit earlier on.
So that was the outflow boundary coming through there ahead of this line of storms. I'm sure that line of storms also brought some extra wind with it. But again, you're going to see probably in the overnight hours, most of these counties turn into severe thunderstorm warnings, especially if it holds together. It's still very warm out there in areas that have not been touched just yet. Still 70 here in Hazard, looking over there at the sensor over there on the other computer. But again, we're looking at these storms that are working their way through. We have a severe thunderstorm watch for most of the region until 4 a.m. So we're not out of the woods with this one. It covers basically everybody except for the Big Sandy. It's right here. This is a good cutoff, actually. Right here is where it's not under the severe thunderstorm watch, okay? So it doesn't take in the Big Sandy, doesn't take in places like Morgan County up toward the Mountain Parkway, McGoffin County, you're not in this, over toward West Virginia, over toward Southwest Virginia, and most of you guys are parts of Southwest Virginia under it, but again, it goes until 4 o'clock in the morning. But this line of storms, and he's kind of put that on there, thank you, Evan. So we're looking again, even places like, it literally cuts off Floyd County, Johnson County, McGoffin County not in it, Morgan County not in it, Martin County and Pike County not in it, but it scoots on over the border into parts of Virginia and Tennessee. That goes until 4 a.m. And of course, I do think at some point, if these storms kind of hold together, we'll continue to see this line progress through and maybe keep those warnings going. But at this point, 12:15 is our end time there because we really don't have any more information to report. We're getting later in the night. We're just trying to make sure that you stay safe and you have a good heads up. If we need to come back on, we will. But the storm we're tracking, the one that's up here to our north, had a history of producing damage. That's why we're going to continue until 12:15.
And there you can still kind of see that backward C shape in the portions of now western Breathitt County, moving on top of Buckhorn now. Oneida getting in on it, and it's about to move through downtown Manchester over the next little bit. This still has the potential to produce winds to at least 60, if not 70 miles per hour. The 60-mile-per-hour winds on this warning, and hail to the size of pennies as that continues to work through. And so, folks, if you know anybody up Buckhorn Lake, if you can get a hold of them, let them know, hey, we need to bring it on in. Some folks saying they're hearing thunder in Salyersville, which is quite a ways away from where we're seeing anything, and not really under the threat for any severe weather as we head through the night. McGoffin County's not under the severe thunderstorm warning. It's all south and southwest of there. So we continue to see the very heavy rain as well, the very gusty winds, at least the potential for that, as we head through the next little bit. So we're going to put a track on that storm one more time here as this pushes to the east at about, let me make sure I've got the right time on this in terms of speed. So many warnings to get through here. This is moving 45 5 miles per hour. So let's just go ahead and move that out at 45 for the next half hour. So we're talking much of Perry County, much of Leslie County, much of the rest of Clay County, and the very southern parts of Breathitt County south of downtown Jackson.
Okay, so I'm going to walk over here for just a second and kind of point out a few communities that are going to be impacted here in the next few minutes. But I also want you to look at the way that this storm is tracking, okay? Off to the southeast, moving at a pretty good clip. Even if they keep extending the severe thunderstorm warning, it may not be as bad, but of course if the Weather Service pulls a warning, that means it's got the potential for some damaging winds, okay? It doesn't mean we're going to stay on for all of them, because we'd probably be on until Mountain News This Morning time if we did that. But again, this is areas that we continue to track with this one until 12:15, goes a little bit past that. So Hazard here about 12:30, 12:29. Hoskinston, that is over in Leslie County, that is until 12:25, or goes about 12:25 for you guys. Typo at 12:24. Krypton 12:16 here in about 10 minutes or so. We're going to continue to watch that. And Viper at 12:33. So again, this is the areas that this storm is going to track. We have other severe thunderstorm warnings that go out a little bit longer till 12:45 for the southern half of the area. That includes parts of Lake Cumberland, Pulaski County, Wayne County, parts of Laurel County, including the city of London, but not Corbin. Okay, Corbin, you're still okay for the moment, but these storms are continuing to move toward you. And then, of course, all of parts of Rockcastle County and Jackson County also under some of these warnings. But these storms continuing to track off to the south. So we're continuing to watch that trend as we head to the next little bit. So heads up if you're going to be in some of those areas in the next little bit. So I'm going to go back over here for just a second. Evan actually stepped out, so I'm going to kind of reset, give you kind of a view, overall view of kind of what we're looking at to kind of see exactly what we are continuing to track as we head into the nighttime hours. So let me take it back out here, and then we will get the kind of the whole view, put it in a loop there. So here's kind of what's happened in the last few hours. All right, kind of resetting here to give you a report of what is happening and what is still to come. All these storms are moving to the southeast. It's basically a boundary, kind of pushing along ahead of a front, but the main front, which now does not look as bad as it did before, will be here tomorrow night going into early Tuesday. Okay, so no severe risk for that. It'd be some just general thunderstorms. We've been talking about that one for a few days too, but you see these storms continue to dive south. We have the orange boxes are the severe thunderstorm warning boxes, and we have of course the green ones that kind of have the red outlines. That's flash flood warnings out that way. They're in parts of central Kentucky and southern Kentucky. And then the light yellow is the severe thunderstorm watch. That goes until 4 a.m. So we've got an overnight threat for some severe thunderstorms. Again, if we have to, we will come back on the air if we need to, if anything starts to be causing damage. But I think we're going to wrap up here in just a few minutes. But again, if we have not talked about your county yet, again, some general rain up near I-64. Going through parts of McGoffin County. I'm sure that's they're probably hearing some thunder over that way. I will say this as a kind of a rule of thumb. If you hear thunder roar, go indoors, because if you hear thunder roar, you're close enough to be struck by lightning. You're not under a warning or anything, but that's just good common sense to be inside if there's a storm out there, okay? Inside a substantial shelter with 4 walls and a roof, okay? So again, the warnings go basically from Breathitt County all the way down into southern Kentucky there, around Wayne County. So those continue until 12:15 and 12:45 respectively. Extended a few more out coming toward this way, toward the Hazard area. And I would say, if I had to guess, unless these storms just happen to fall apart in the next few minutes, they'll keep that severe thunderstorm warning, at least potentially keep it going all the way into southwest Virginia if these storms continue to hold together.
Sorry, that was just something in a different chat.
Okay.
One thing I do want to talk about, if Josh could switch over to our PC real quick, we are still watching the power outages. We've upped those power outage numbers now. Jackson County has got about 700 out, Rockcastle about 200 out, Estill County nearly 900, about 700 out in Lee County, and nearly half the customers tracked in Owsley County without power. So we're taking a toll on some of our folks here in terms of power outages, but so far we have not heard any reports of damage throughout parts of the region, but we are seeing some of those power outages, and we're seeing that next round go through places like Rockcastle County, into portions of Pulaski County, and shortly into Wayne County as well. That heavy line of storms is going to very shortly bear down on Lake Cumberland as well. And if we can switch back to radar, we can show you that. But yeah, we've got this storm that is starting to fall apart a little bit, moving toward Buckhorn, going the wrong way, and moving toward Hazard. That mostly has missed downtown Jackson. So if any of our folks watching in Jackson, Breathitt County, that's mostly scooted to, is that a word? To your south and
Scooted
west.
to your south.
Yes, scooted to your south, not in place, but still watching that area near Lake Cumberland here over the next little bit. Russell County, Wayne County, into Pulaski County. I'm actually interested in that little, it's just west of our area there, that storm trying to surge from Adair County into Russell County. That's going to make it to the lake first there west of Monticello, so that's something to watch out for over the next little bit. Nothing new so far from the Weather Service as this continues to work on through, so that's definitely good news.
Exactly, and I tell you what, we may end up even wrapping just a couple of minutes early here our coverage because of the simple fact this complex is still powerful. It is still bringing the possibility for heavy rain and some damaging winds, of course, because we still have these severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for quite some time for some locations there, 1245 for those southern end of counties. But again, we're getting into the part of the night where the atmosphere is getting worked over. Things are getting more stable. We're not going to be seeing as much action. You'll probably still see some strong storms. I'm not going to say that you're not, but the fact that we have had no reports of damage since these storms have entered eastern Kentucky. We had the damage, we've stayed on this long because of the simple fact that we, had the damage in central Kentucky that was confirmed damage. We're starting to see those power outages, so we know there's probably trees coming down in some locations. But again, without any confirmed damage, we don't want to take up any more time than we have to. We're not doing this just to hear ourselves talk. We're trying to keep you safe as we've said all night. So again, we're hopefully starting to wind this down a little bit. Storms are still possible all the way through the early morning hours. If there's any left over by Mountain News this morning time, I'll bring those to you right there at the top of the hour at 5 o'clock. But again, I'd say this threat will start to move out as we head deeper into the night for sure, kind of winding down already. And as Evan mentioned, I'm curious to see what that storm out near Lake Cumberland is going to do, because it looks like it is trying to cycle just a little bit. But if we need to come back on for that, we will come back on for that. But I think at this point, unless anything else is coming from the Weather Service, I think we just go ahead and wind things down. And like I said, I'll be here all night. Oh, okay.
And we'll be here through the evening.
Yeah, I was like, what are you trying to show me?
Sorry.
I'm on the other side of the wall over here, and he had a note trying to show me.
Sorry, I don't have a marker.
It's okay.
Actually, I do, come to think of it. But anyway, yes, the Weather Service has gone with a statement for Bell, Breathitt, Clay, Harlan, Knott, Knox, Leslie, Owsley, Perry, for winds to 50 and half-inch hail. So that's like that first level of sub-severe, right, usually, that the Weather Service usually goes with. So it's usually either up or down. If you're coming off a warning and you see a 50-mile-an-hour statement, right, that's usually saying, okay, we've lost a little strength with that. But that's right, going to be for I think that's going to be for the main kind of cell, that main storm that we've been watching. We still have the back edge of that working through the Lake Cumberland region. Right.
So again, I don't think at this point that I think we're kind of winding down now. Again, as I've said, and stress one more time before we sign off here, strong storms are still possible throughout the night. Of course, even the Weather Service, Evan just saying that they're going down to statement level, special weather statement level there. So again, you could still have some pretty good gusts. You could still have some hail. Hopefully you can get a little bit of sleep. Things are starting to kind of wind down a little bit. Again, still some action out there. And it'll probably be raining and lightning, maybe some good sleeping weather, especially if we don't have any damage reports out there. But for meteorologist Evan Hatter, I'm Chief Forecaster Brandon Robinson. We're going to go ahead and sign it off right now, get you back into regular programming. Good morning to you, Chief Forecaster Brandon Robinson, back inside of overnight coverage here of severe weather. We're continuing to watch a new severe thunderstorm warning. It looked like things were winding down. This one just came out for parts of Jackson, Laurel, Pulaski, Rockcastle, and Wayne counties until 1:15. This one has a tornado possible threat on it. So again, this includes quite a few folks out there, about 55,000 people. Some hail possible with that, and has a decent wind speed there, 60 miles per hour. We're seeing lots of thunder and lightning here in Hazard this morning. Let's take you back out. I'm going to step over here to the Weather Center, kind of reset here and give you a better view of what's going on. So we're going to kind of clear this off, and we'll go in a little closer and take a look at some of the things that are happening right now. So we're kind of watching this line of cells right through here. This is the line that's got the severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag on it. So I'm looking here at a couple of different things. Let me check this out here. All right, so I'm going to kind of take us over to velocity for just a second to see if we see anything, if we see any rotation in the atmosphere here right now. So we're going to take over here and see what we've got. Now, a little bit of broad rotation potentially right here. Of course, let me double check something here. This is kind of right outside of London, so we're keeping a very close eye on this right now. Let me kind of check this out real fast just to make sure that, because I've got two warnings overlapping here, and I'm going to make sure that this is the right one. Okay, so this is just a standard severe thunderstorm warning. And I'm trying to make sure that London is in the one that kind of has the potential. Okay, so London is in the one that has the tornado possible tag on it. And I'm going to circle this area here of potential rotation here. Let me get my drawing tool out here for just a second. So this is what we're kind of looking at here. I don't know if it's going to have the tool that I need or not. But right here, hold on just one second, folks. Having just a little bit of trouble here this morning. All right, let's see if I can get it to go to the straight line or the curved line tool so I can draw. All right, so basically what we're looking at is kind of right here. I can only draw this right here in a second. So we're anywhere where those reds and greens are going together. This is moving to the, let's see here. Try to find this this particular storm here. It's moving pretty fast. Moving to the. Hold on, just bear with me one second, folks. I hear Evan get just a second. Okay, so this is moving to the, looks like to the southeast. It's basically how these storms have been moving. Let me try to put a track on this here for you very fast. All right, Evan's in here now. He can help us out. But yeah, that's kind of what we're watching right now. That we're back on for this tornado possible tag. I'll let Evan take over the radar because it's a little bit hard when you're trying to run it by yourself.
I've been there. Look, I know.
So there you go. All right, but yeah, that's kind of the area we kind of had highlighted there. I couldn't get the drawing tool to show up, so I was having to use. There we go. You got it. So that's the area we're looking at. So this is basically heading toward, it's kind of going away from London. It's tracking to the southeast, right, Evan? I didn't get a chance to actually look at the warning.
Let's check that. Wow, a lot of warnings.
I know. Like I said, that's what I was trying to struggle to find that particular warning there on the iPad. But again, it was just one of those. It's kind of, you're seeing a little bit of broad rotation there outside of London. I'm just not exactly sure. I think this is tracking off to the southeast, so this may be going more toward Corbin than London. But we got to keep an eye on this storm because again, this goes until about 1:15 there, and we'll put the track on it. Actually, it might be going a little bit by the polygon, a little bit kind of to the northeast.
Yeah, the warning itself actually says moving northeast at 40. So.
Okay, so London could be in the path of this one. Okay, so let's keep an eye on this one right here, kind of skirting to the north there of Corbin, going between Corbin and London. And again, we were showing you velocity there just a second. So this is moving to the northeast at how fast did you say?
40 miles per hour. So
okay.
let me put a track on that. I've got to go check a piece of equipment here. So
okay.
Let me put that, let's go back to the velocity and put a track on that as we push off to the east and the northeast. I'm seeing kind of the area that we may be looking at, kind of just east of Mount Victory, southwestern parts of Laurel County. And I'm going to put
right
that
here.
off to the north and east for about the next half hour or so.
Okay.
And if that holds together, we're talking just past the 1 o'clock hour through most of I was actually going to move the box to the other side. Sorry there, Brandon.
Okay. I'll scoot back this way. That's fine.
Just keep us all in place
There we go.
as
Okay.
we move through portions of Laurel County.
Okay, so here is your heads up. This is a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible. We are seeing some rotation on radar. No confirmed tornadoes. All right. It's kind of in the nighttime hours. We're getting almost to 1 o'clock here, getting closer to 1 o'clock. So you see Kiwi, you've got just a few minutes, just after 1 o'clock, 1:02. You need to get into your safe spot. Downstairs, if you have a basement, under something sturdy, put as much between you and the outside as possible. Stay calm. Helmets, if you've got them, put them on. Lower level of your house. If you are in a trailer, get out. There's no other way to put that. It's not safe to be in a trailer. Find a neighbor. Hopefully, when we were talking about all this earlier, you made some plans. Put those plans into action. This is not a tornado warning, but it is a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. London, you're in the crosshairs about 112. Sublimity, 111, just before them. Lily, 108. So we're going to continue to track this storm to the north and east at a pretty good little clip there. Some broad rotation trying to show up in southwestern Laurel County. This does not include the city of Corbin. This does not include Williamsburg. This storm is moving off to the north and east. So again, Kiwi, 102, London, 112, Lida at 119. So again, that might even be getting into Clay County a little bit there. So again, be taking your precautions. Put a helmet on if you've got one. It's one of the situations very dangerous. In these type of overnight situations, it could be, if there is a tornado, and we're not saying that there is, it's just indications that there might be a quick spin up, that it could be rain wrapped. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. This has been a very potent storm system. We thought it was kind of cycling down for a little bit. Now it's cycled back up. That can happen with these type of storms. Evan?
That's right, Brandon. And going back to the radar, you can almost see the backward C shape
right there
in Laurel County working. It's actually now east of London and east of Corbin. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I think what's happening here is this whole thing is moving to the south and east, but the individual cells that are making it up are moving northeast. So let's put this into motion, and you can see kind of what we're dealing with. Yeah,
it's still pulling southeast, but again, London is included, City of London included in that severe thunderstorm warning polygon with the tornado possible. So again, it's kind of pushing southeast and to the northeast, if that makes sense. It's kind of slowly drifting south. So it's still, you know, kind of in the crosshairs. So Corbin, wouldn't be a bad idea for you to get in your tornado safe spots as well, because even though the city of Corbin is not included just yet in this severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible, that complex of storms is pushing to the south.
Let's check velocity again. Let's put it back to where we were, and then go ahead and use the velocity scope. And you can see, as is not uncommon with these little areas, especially you get these almost like nooks and crannies inside these storms. There's little pockets. There's one there.
Yep.
Can't draw circles that small.
Yeah, exactly.
One right here.
Yeah. So
there's one right here.
Anywhere where the greens and reds are going together. One's just south of London on I-75. So if you know anybody traveling I-75 between London and Corbin, maybe give them a heads up like, hey, pull over for a little bit. You could have some strong winds. So this is kind of the area we're watching for the possibility if there is a tornado. We've not any confirmed reports. The Weather Service is putting a tornado possible tag on this severe thunderstorm warning. This would be the areas that it's kind of showing up in. I know there's heavy rain down that way right now. I know that there's heavy rain traveling from, if you're on 27 over toward Somerset, if you're coming back toward London on the Hannah Rogers Parkway, some pretty heavy rain down I-75, down 25 toward Corbin and London there. Again, lots of activity going on over that way. And this stretches basically all the way over into Clay County. And again, active weather pattern continues as we head into the overnight hours. So we're going to continue to track this for a little while longer. This is a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag on it for several counties. Let me see if I can pull them up here right fast. And let's see here. Just a second.
And while you're doing that, Brandon, just sorry to have you here double here. I just want to make sure we're not getting anything new in the Facebook comments. We're going to continue to watch everything here push off to the east. Somebody said Monticello just got hit pretty hard. I can believe that, with heavy rain and gusty winds. Everybody here has the threat for everybody. I'll back it up here and just show you the warnings. You can actually see everywhere shaded in yellow. It's not the entire area, but everywhere shaded in yellow, essentially west of Hazard, south of McKee, under a severe thunderstorm warning at this point. And
Yes.
they go through either 1:30 or 1:15, I'm sorry, or 1:15. So they both go until 1:15. It's the southern warning. Let me double check that. It's the northern warning, I'm sorry, that has the tornado possible tag on it, working through these areas. And elsewhere, you know, we got a lot of folks always in our Facebook comments, you know, if you're in the Big Sandy, you're not in this threat. You're hearing some thunder and lightning. Closest thunder and lightning, you're probably hearing some thunder and seeing some lightning in places like Salyersville and Paintsville. This is not for you.
Right.
This is just moderate, light to moderate rain up there. Not good sleeping weather up there. Not a whole lot to worry about.
Right.
Further to the south, areas south and east of Hazard, between Hazard and Hindman there on 80, likely dealing with some strong winds, heavy rain, potential for 50-mile-per-hour gusts there, hail to the size of pennies, but that is not severe. It's everywhere else that is severe once you head basically from a line from northern Leslie County through northern Clay County back to Jackson County and south. And I think eventually, should these storms hold together, we'll see warnings eventually come out for Bell County, for Harlan County, and even maybe Letcher County.
Yeah, and I think we were talking about this earlier before we went off the air. This line of storms is probably going to pack a little bit of a punch all the way to the border, maybe even into East Tennessee. But of course, the reason we're back on the air right now is because of the couple of larger communities that are being impacted by this severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag until 1:15. So about another 15 minutes from right now, as we see London included in that polygon, but not Corbin just yet. Let's go back to velocity for just a second to see if we're still seeing those little couplets showing up there between London and Corbin and in other parts of the county. Anywhere you see the reds and the greens kind of going toward each other. So here's kind of one right there along 25 and 75 in between those two roads. There's another one just south of Corbin there, another one over there on 25W. They're very kind of sporadic, Evan. So there's no confirmed tornado touchdowns. The good news is, I guess for London proper, most of the areas of rotation are south of London at this point. So this storm overall, even though it's got a kind of a northeast track, a jog, is kind of pushing the whole complex, is pushing to the southeast.
Right, and we still need to watch places like far southern Laurel County,
right,
near Corbin, northern parts of Whitley County there, north of Williamsburg. That's where we have the greatest potential to see perhaps a spin-up tornado.
Right.
And that's the kind of tornado we would see. It's nothing that's going to stay on the ground for a long period of time,
yeah,
but they can quickly drop a tornado and lift back up, even between radar scans, and these come in every 2-3 minutes.
Right. So basically for right now, let's do it this way. If you're between London and Corbin and just south of Corbin, not all the way down to Williamsburg, tornado safety precautions. Be in your safe spot. Basement is best. If you live in a trailer or mobile home, find some other shelter. Trailers are not built to withstand tornadic winds. Now, as Evan has said, and I will repeat, this is not a long-track tornado situation. This is one that could touch down briefly, head right back up, even between scans. So again, you just got to take this as seriously as you would a tornado warning, even though it's just a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag on it, okay? So downstairs, under something sturdy, put as much between you and the outside as possible. Of course, basement is best. If you have no other option, if you're in a built, stable home with 4 walls, not a trailer, bathtub, get in there. You've got strong material underneath that bathtub. This is why we tell you not to be in a bathtub with water when there's storms, because lightning and water don't mix really well. But in this situation, get in there. Cover yourself up with anything you can. That's kind of your last-ditch option, but again, it is an option. So again, take your safety precautions now, especially if you're between London and Corbin and just south of Corbin there. Those some very highly populated areas, and that tornado warning, or excuse me, that severe thunderstorm warning with tornado possible tag continues until 1:15. Now, the good news is if we're not talking about your community specifically, you're probably under some sort of warning. You're probably seeing lots of lightning. You're probably seeing some heavy rain. But for the most part, we are not seeing any reports of damage coming in from your areas, okay? We left the air about a little before 12:15 because we were tracking that one out of central Kentucky that had reported damage. That's why we didn't come back until this one. We just don't want to take up much of your time if we can help it, especially if we know that there are people that are not in danger. Okay, so this is why we came back on, because people could be in danger with this type of situation.
Looks like, and I'm making sure this is the same warning here
because there's multiple warnings there. Yeah.
Yes, it's 2 warnings, but a lot of counties. I think they've taken the tornado possible out of this one, but they both still go until 1:15.
Okay, so let's go back to velocity one more time. We won't, like I said, we don't want to take up too much of your time. We know you're maybe trying to sleep and the weather radio is going off, and maybe people get startled, and I understand that. So we're just trying to give you some peace and some calm to maybe help you go back to sleep. But it looks like, as he's circling these little notches there, south of Corbin at this point, along 25, back down towards 75, 25W there. And correct me if I'm wrong here, the rotation is broadening out just a little bit.
It is, really. Not that it was that strong to begin with, but just keeping an eye on those, that's why the tornado possible tag exists.
Right.
For these,
brief spin-up situations.
Right.
Exactly.
So, a lot of times, especially in these, we call these, what we're dealing with tonight is what's called a QLCS.
Right.
That is it is 4 letters that represent a lot of words that mean we're looking at a squall line that's not always so solid.
Right.
We get these little areas of spin that can drop a tornado for, less than a minute sometimes and come right back up. And we don't see them on radar, but we still need to give you the warning that potential is there.
Exactly.
And the potential is there here. We have not seen any reports of any obviously confirmed tornadoes. The Weather Service needs to confirm that first before we can say there was a tornado.
Right.
We haven't had any reports really of anything that looks like a tornado has occurred. We've seen some damage. Some folks were sending me some photos earlier from Jackson County that we had some trees down on the utility lines, knocked some power lines down. We have somebody else reporting, let's see. We have somebody else reporting powers out in Buckhorn, which makes sense. We've gone through a couple of storms now.
Yeah, we'll try to get those power outage numbers up for you here pretty quickly.
Into portions of Perry County, folks saying Laurel County, very heavy rain. So that would make sense as we continue. Let's turn the radar back on to see. And that's kind of the position in the storm, relatively speaking, that we would see the potential for maybe a little, we call it gate-to-gate shear. There's not too many gates there next to each other, but that's still kind of in the position we'd expect. So it's something to pay attention to.
Did we confirm that they let that wording go?
Yes, I mean, double check, but yeah, 60-mile-per-hour winds, hail to the size of pennies with that warning. That's the northernmost warning. They kind of peeled some folks out of it. Okay. Somerset's no longer in it. Monticello's no longer in it. But still, folks from Manchester down to Barberville. In between, you have Girdler there. You have Big Creek there, eastern parts of Clay County, right on the Clay-Leslie County line, just west. London, Corbin, right on top of the lake there as well, as I drop my pen. North of Williamsburg, if you know anybody crossing Interstate 75, they shouldn't be between London and Williamsburg, especially between Corbin and Williamsburg, because you got a pretty strong little line segment right there with the potential for 60-mile-per-hour winds about to push through.
Exactly. So again, we're not saying these storms don't have the potential to be dangerous, but at this point, if they do not have the tornado possible tag on it, we don't really like to take up a whole lot of airtime, because you know that they're storms. You know that they could potentially be bad. We've been talking about that for several days. So we are not doing this just to hear ourselves talk, but when we saw that tornado possible tag come out, we wanted to jump on here and kind of give you an update for that, because again, there's still lots of heavy rain out there. There's still lots of lightning. These storms are very electrical. There's still lots of heavy wind. So hopefully, as we continue to cycle through the night, the deeper the night we get, the rain is going to stabilize the atmosphere. So that's going to help us out quite a bit, and we'll start to kind of simmer these things down. We still have, Evan, if we can take that watch box there one more time real quick before we sign back off here. We still have that watch box for basically most of the area there, all the counties included in yellow, which does not include north of the Mountain Parkway up toward I-64, parts of the Big Sandy, thank you for that, and then back over into parts of southern West Virginia. It does include Lee and Wise counties in southwest Virginia, but not Buchanan and Dickinson or any of the Big Sandy counties. But again, that goes until 4 a.m., and that includes all the counties that are under severe thunderstorm warnings right now. So that is that was a pretty good call, I think, from the Storm Prediction Center and the National Weather Service to kind of limit it to those areas, because that's where we're seeing those stronger storms at right now. So because the severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado possible tag has been downgraded, so to speak, we're going to go ahead and toss you back to regular programming. If anything else develops, we're going to be here. I'll be here all night. If anything else develops, I will come right back on the air, get you situated. But our next newscast for now, if we don't have any more severe thunderstorms try to develop, will be at 5 o'clock for Mountain News this morning. For meteorologist Evan Hatter, I'm Chief Forecaster Brandon Robinson. We'll toss you back to programming.